Greetings once again, Soul Familia. We are back for what I am going to call part of a Taming the Ego series and playlist for this channel. I'll have to go back through some of my previous content for other related drops. Otherwise, here we go. We're going to just get right into it. We have some frankincense already stoking on the charcoal. We're going to also bring in a piece of sage. So it may get pretty hazy in here. All right, and we're also going to bring in a pinch of tobacco to say thank you to our Creator for our guidance and protection, as well as assistance in a number of other ways. All right. Now that we have that going, we're going to set this off to the side. Oop. Give me just a moment to get started here. Things are falling over that we don't really want falling over. All right. There we go. Oh. All right. Very good. Moving along. Yes. Here we go. This topic has become a little bit more of an interest because I too have been on again, off again, transmuting and tempering. So this isn't really about calling myself or anyone else out. It just seems as though in some way it's been placed on my heart at this time. It is a relevant and relatable topic with so many insights and teachable moments to come. Taming the Ego. A graceful path to inner harmony. The ego is often misunderstood. While it serves as a necessary part of our identity, shaping our sense of self, and helping us to navigate the world, an unchecked ego can create barriers to growth, connection, and peace. Now, I was just going to submit this as a blog, but I decided to turn my creations into a vlog experience instead. with various topics coming into Soul Stars of the Violet Flame, all relevant to elevating, uplifting, and accompanying others in expansion and growth through personal and interconnected collective growth, expansion, so on. So, to truly evolve, we must learn to tame the ego, not by force or suppression, but with understanding and grace. So, recognizing the ego's influence. The first step to taming the ego is awareness. The ego manifests in many forms: pride, defensiveness, the need to be right, or an attachment to labels and external validation. It whispers narratives of superiority or inadequacy, keeping us trapped in cycles of comparison and separation. So, a personal anecdote, so to speak, comes to mind. I have, in the last few years, found myself in heated debates with even some close friends. Each of us standing firm in our perspectives. In these moments, I felt a tightening and constriction, voice elevating, thoughts racing. During a time when all of our egos were a bit more unhinged, taking turns aiming to construct a winning argument. But then a quiet realization settled in. Were we seeking truth or simply defending our pride? Take a deep breath, I heard. And then I softened. And beloveds, 2025, I have created somewhat of a mission, like a side quest, besides what I understand as my soul's mission. And that is to continue tempering the ego by really pumping those spiritual and emotional muscles. Listening in on more people and topics that I might agree with, or even have even gone as far as disliking previously. As well as listening in other ways to just people, places, things, and situations that I might disagree with, for more character, not necessarily character development, but self-development in some way. And it all starts with that one conscious breath. By choosing to take that deep breath, it creates a window of response time. And And we're not always successful at choosing a more graceful approach. By consciously making an effort to give reverence to others' versions, not versions of truth, but how others can demonstrate truth in their own authentic way. We'll just put it that way. With the narrative that multiple truths can exist in the same space at the same time, as long as it's all coming from truth. So the first step to taming the ego is awareness. The ego manifests in many forms: pride, defensiveness, the need to be right, the need to be in charge or in control, or attachments and obsessions with labels and self-righteousness and external validation, having a difficulty even hearing the word no. Like, I've seen people and heard people fly off the handle, like playground BS, over being told no. Like, even going as far as trying to dig a grave for you type of what would you even call it? Like, just very negative voltage. We'll just put it that way. Yeah, here we are. We survived it. We got over it. On again and off again with these paths of healing. Regardless of others' whispered narratives of superiority, which is really just a projection based off of their thoughts of their own inadequacy, aiming to keep us trapped in these cycles of comparison and competition and the illusion within this hologram that we call separation. There are some practical steps we can take, and yes, I too participate. I can't emphasize that enough. I wouldn't even be sharing it here on this channel if it wasn't somehow, at least within the last couple of months anyway, somehow part of a personal journey that has teachable moments and experiences that could very much so be of value to others upon paying it forward. Sharing our highs and lows as we go through these experiences in raw and authentic form. Demonstrating this growth in real time, so to speak, in such a way that is relatable to or relative to just about anyone. Cultivating self-observation. This is what I mean when I doing these self-check-ins, checking ourselves at the door. Practicing mindfulness and witness our thoughts without immediate reaction. And there are a number of different ways that we can identify these egoic patterns, beloveds. Embrace humility. When I was sharing the 6 steps to joy with others, this humility most certainly was the closing step, but also I touched on this and shared a bit more deeply when we got to that step. The video was pretty long in comparison to the rest of the videos in the series. So yeah, feel free to go check it out at any time. It's 6 steps towards joy with others. And then the week prior, I put together another mini series based off of the same documentations, titled 6 Steps Towards Joy. So you may find them to be of some benefit. But also there are more practical steps in this particular exercise as well. After we touch a bit more on embracing humility, accepting that you do not have all the answers. True wisdom arises when we remain open to learning from every experience and person we encounter. So being less critical of others is a good place to start. But also, in order to be less critical of others, we have to do those periodic self-check-ins. Figure out where we need to do a bit more work on ourselves, but also where we may have been too critical on ourselves or with ourselves. Releasing the need for control, beloveds. The ego often thrives on control and certainty. Surrendering to life's flow rather than resisting it fosters inner peace. Practicing compassion. When you recognize the ego in others, respond with patience rather than judgment. The reflection cultivates a deeper sense of unity. Align with higher consciousness. The law of one and some other cultural sciences and teachings as well teach us that we are all aspects of a greater whole. When we see ourselves and others as part of the same divine fabric, the ego's illusions of separation begin to dissolve. Regardless of your perspective, it's perfectly fine. After all, it is yours. It is your perspective. On my journey, my soul's journey, and embracing self-development, self-mastery, the law of one perspective just seems to fit. Again, upon your own free will, you do have your own perspective, and it is yours to have. A series of channel teachings emphasizing that all is one and that love is the fundamental force of existence. And when we embrace this philosophy, the ego's need for dominance and distinction fades. Instead of seeing ourselves as isolated beings vying for significance, we recognize our interconnectedness and approach life excuse me, with greater humility and harmony. Expanding a bit more on unity consciousness, seeing others as reflections of the self. Each person we encounter serves as a mirror, revealing aspects of ourselves. By recognizing these reflections, we move beyond ego-based judgments and deepen our self-awareness. Shifting from competition to collaboration. I will be starting another series on that topic in particular. Shifting from competition to collaboration. And perhaps may even save it as some kind of workshop type of thing. We'll see when that time arises. The ego thrives on comparison and competition. Instead, embracing unity consciousness fosters cooperation, where success is measured by collective growth rather than individual dominance. The power of service to others, which is a key teaching of the LOO. The choice between service to self and service to others by prioritizing service to others, we align with the natural flow of unity and transcend our ego-driven desires. They're actually not ours. We don't have to possess them or own them. We can transcend the ego-driven desires, beloveds. Gratitude as an antidote. Expressing gratitude dissolves the ego's sense of entitlement and lack, replacing it with appreciation for the interconnected web of existence. Taming the ego is not about eradication, but integration. And before we get into the cards, this is my final thought. When we're guided by self-awareness, humility, and love, the ego becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. The path to inner harmony is not about conquest, but about balance. An elegant dance between the self and the infinite by embracing unity consciousness. We not only temper the ego, but also step into a higher state of being. And this is where love and connection reign supreme. So, we're going to go into the Woodland Warden's deck for a little bit of insight. Pertaining to where we can balance things out and contribute to tempering the ego, to taming the ego. All right. 2552 on the timer. Before we do the split, well, before we cut the deck, let's see. About that mirroring number. And what it means in terms of the ego. Let's see. Although there isn't any negative aspect to that number, it's possible to be misinterpreted. It can be easy to resist change or maintain an unhealthy sense of balance in our lives, resulting in missed opportunities for growth. We do have the power to take on all the best parts of our life. And a lot of what we feel as though is missing is right in front of our face. So with the number 2, what's standing out to me the most is harmony and diplomacy. With the 5, a transformation that strengthens us in terms of emotional and spiritual maturity, and opens us up to a more of it like a sense of adventure. I just got excited, and so it like had me a little lost for words for a second there, but we got through it. Yes. So there is a need to continue finding or otherwise maintaining balance and harmony. And let's see what else. For the most part, this number carries very positive energy, and I touched briefly on really the only way that there can be a misinterpretation. Otherwise, it's a message of hope and optimism. So also a reminder to strive for abundance and happiness in all areas of our lives. Maintaining relationships that are cultivated and fostered with optimal health trifecta, as well as respecting each other's personal freedom. And when we are living in our truth and trusting in Source, the universe, however you refer, we don't even have to sweat it to an extent, whether we're doing it right. Let's do a split. We have the owl and hop. My grandfather used to go on and on about hops, the hops plant. He was a agricultural mason, and I want to say third generation farmer in his heyday. And he worked a full-time job. And at one point in time came out of early retirement to be a transportation specialist and guide this hologram of a matrix in ensuring that products and supplies and materials and so on and so forth. I don't know in detail what exactly it was he hauled, but as far as I know, he was just a day cab driver, so he wasn't necessarily over the road for any extended periods of time. But he sure did put in the work to assist in the world as we know it going around, like keeping things flowing, going and flowing. So yes, and he was always a very optimistic person, very optimistic. And whenever we would come together, it was always a optimal, dynamic environment. Yes. Graceful, but also funny. But also a little bit rough around the edges and a little crispy and gritty when necessary. My grandfather was an angel in my eyes, and that will never change. Moving along to the owl and hop and wisdom. Number 22. Ooh! Master number. Let's ring the bell. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Number 22. Am I content? If I've reached a state of fulfillment, am I willing to humble myself and try something new? So, owls, in a summary, known for their nocturnal vision, representing knowledge and erudition with a hint of mystery. The hop is an impressive plant able to climb up to 20 feet in a single growing season. Combined the pair indicates spiritual and intellectual fulfillment. And with it being in the upright, it means we've come to the end of a long journey. We can relish in our achievements, taking deep, satisfying breaths. Interestingly enough, the timing with that message when we were just discussing these conscious breaths, creating a window of reaction time. And here we have it. The owl is creating a round window of reaction time. Perhaps so that we can choose our words more wisely. Something to consider. All right. The owl. Now let's see. I'm going to do one shuffle. And then whatever is at the bottom is what we're going to go with next for teachable moments and insights from this deck. And we have, the eel and the iris. Safety. Right off the bat, the message that I'm getting, and it's pretty cut and dry, is that you are in a safe space to share your golden nuggets, as there has been a divine window of time created for you to share them in a meaningful, elevating, uplifting, beneficial way of value to yourself and others. That is the intuitive message from this pair. The eel and the iris. As soon as I can find it. The idiom, slippery as an eel, refers to the eel's ability to escape harm. The iris is the tall, hardy flower from which the fleur-de-lis, a medieval symbol of power and victory, is derived. Together, the stealthy eel and the mighty iris indicate safety in our homes, our relationships, and work. And I would like to extend that blessing and message into our vocations as well. With this safety net in place, it's a good time to establish more healthy boundaries. And if others take offense, do not fret over their reaction. Stand firm in your power, like the iris. And you can ask yourself at this time, what do I need in order to feel safe? And or how can I extend safety to others? And it's interesting that this is coming out today, when yesterday we had to come together as a collective and assist someone who was in a mindset of feeling unsafe. And together we did what was spiritually led at that time to guide and assist others. And it seems as though, from my observation and experience anyway, that it worked out phenomenally in the end. By, instead of instantly reacting before having a chance to like double evaluate another person's questions and statements, we chose to go along with that window of reaction time and approach this situation in a graceful and meaningful and loving manner. And as a result, the person in that situation was able to sit up straight and have more confidence and begin to lean into that trust that they are in a safe and loving atmosphere and environment. It was like a spiritual uprightness that took place as a collective. It was beautiful. It felt magical even. To be able to just spontaneously reach out and be of service to another in that manner. I'm telling you, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. So on that note, that's a message in and of itself. Like when you start to feel some kind of like egoic flare up, take advantage of this window of reaction time to contemplate and articulate where you can go and apply that energy in a different way by transmuting it into an act of service to another. Reach out to another to counteract it and be like, you know, it could be something as simple as complimenting their art, or just letting them know that it's easier to smile than it is to frown, and that they are enough, and that they are loved. Yes. Transmuting that pain into a more peaceful approach. I just heard. Wow. Thank you, Source, for that message. All right, now I'm feeling guided to actually bring this particular session to a close because it's getting to be a long one. All right. Let's see. We'll do a split, and we have the bee and the pomegranate. Productivity. See what I'm saying? That's already like clarification to like when you start to feel that ego becoming active, get to work on being of service to others. And then brace yourselves for the shock value of it. Because at first, it will blow your mind. And it will take some time to try to rewrap your mind around it. But it's oh so good for these high-level spirits to come along and turn our noggins into supernovas of fragments of a, we'll just say, tempered ego. Yes. The bee and the pomegranate. Let's see what the book has to say. Okay. Indeed, the synchronicity as the bee and pomegranate call us to create with purpose. Bees are known for their hard work and industriousness. The phrase busy as a bee derives from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, written in the 14th century. Pomegranates are tough-skinned and difficult to open, but once their exterior is pierced, hundreds of seeds burst forth, signifying fertility and abundance. Ask yourselves at this time, are you feeling fulfilled in your work? And if no, how do you change that? With it being in the upright, it is a blessing of a sign indicating that we are at our most productive, taking care to ensure our labor fulfills ourselves as well. See, now that's the part I did not see coming. Here I am saying, when the ego is flaring up, triggered, take that energy, that burst of energy, and get to work, being of service to others. But with this particular card, it's also saying, as we create and connect with others with purpose and industriousness, we are no longer getting in our own way. And it's clearly, from the insights of the cards, a bit of a double message, or just really getting busy creating that fairness and balance all the way around. As though every single one of us are a seed. And one thing about the pomegranate is, well, they might have to some degree their own shape in some kind of way, but they all offer the same sweetness, like Spirit's sweetheart, like soul source's sweetheart. There's some reason I was meant to say it that way, but I'm not sure why. But yes. So instead of getting busy being that hollaback girl, we're being guided to get busy being in service to others in such a way that it's like equal reciprocity, equal reverence. None of us are more special or relevant or important than the other. So we're going to close this message now. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Beloved soul familia, with much gratitude and appreciation from my heart chakra to yours. Brightest of blessings.